Welcome back, folks, to another video by myself, Fraser, as we carry on with our little Ansett Embraer flight around its base that it would have been based in Auckland. We've done the flight to Whangarei, and now we're going to head on down to Whakatane. We will wrap up this little venture with this aircraft, and we will take it down to Wellington and at a later date, and we'll do some flights from Wellington over to Nelson and to Blenheim. But yeah, there's a little Air Chatham's Saab 340 there, which would have come from either where we're actually going, either Whakatane or Wanganui. But yeah, we'll get going, folks. We'll give this EFB one more try. There's actually, like, I tried the real sim brief profile for this aircraft, but it's, like I say, it's not, there must be something wrong with it, because every time I use it, it says my aircraft is over its cargo limit, weight limit, or whatever. So yeah, we'll just do a quick load up of the fuel. We won't be too over the top with it, so we'll just go. We'll just set something like that now for our fuel. We'll load something like that. Have no idea what that means for our aircraft, so you know, like I say, there's no visual representation of what these do, and yeah, like I say, I just find this just not that good. Like, I feel like this could be considered just too complicated. Anyhow, let's get going. We won't use FS HUD for this last flight. It just, oh, why not? Let's use it, eh? It's a LATAM 787 just come into land. The old 30 odd years they used to fly to Auckland, then on to Sydney, but they've stopped now, so they just do the return flight from Chile. Once upon a time there used to be Argentina Airlines as well that used to operate their A340s into Auckland. Used to be quite a few flights from Auckland to South America. Land Chile, which is now LATAM, Argentina Airlines, and I think Qantas operated a few flights as well out of Auckland, and then Air New Zealand used to operate into Buenos Aires as well. But yeah, we'll get our flight plan going, and we'll head on down to Whakatane. So I'm just going to delete our flight plan. A pretty poor pronunciation of our Kiwi names. Right. Whakatane is the name. Alright, procedures, we're gonna follow that runway 23 left, the steep step 3P, runway 23 of course, and we're going to use the tool me transition like so. Load, and what's our flight plan? So we're going to be basically going straight to Tauranga, and then from here we'll load up a flight plan arrival from there. We'll probably just carry on out here, and I don't know, we'll see what FS HUD has got us loaded up. We'll just enter in this flight plan first. So from Whakatane we want to go to, I do like this feature being able to type it in, URBUX, which is a New Zealand waypoint, and our next one is going to be TG for Tauranga, so TG Tauranga, enter, and our arrival that we do have load up is RNAV 27, so we will come into here. Let's see what arrivals we have for this. We won't be using the arrivals, they don't seem legit, so we'll just go straight to and we'll use this runway Kiki, this one here. Also we'll enter that into, how did I do it again? For some reason it's doing now, which is, I'm not complaining, that I'm happy with that. RNAV 27 and Kiki. Load. Right, we're all set up for our flight plan now, so we can now go ahead and request startup. Oh, what am I doing? Start up the engines and we'll head on down to Whakatane. Yeah, like I said, the sounds are almost there, but there is just a few little gaps in the sound package that just sort of make it sound not the best, but it's still, I still like flying this aircraft. It is fun aircraft to fly. Alright, introduce the fuel into the engine. select fuel, pure fuel. Might just cruise at an altitude of 7,000 feet for this flight. Just so, actually the clouds are not too bad heading southbound there, so we might be alright. Alright, we'll go full RPM. We'll quickly get rid of the external power unit. We can now turn on these generators, turn off the starter motor, turn on the taxi light, and get clearance for taxi, remove the chocks, change this to GPS, get the navigation ready for when we select autopilot. We'll just reset the flight directors. And away we go, folks. Flaps set to the first notch. Get rid of the CFB. Get our flight plan. Oh, not that one. Oh yeah, no, that's the one I want to use. We're just gonna pretend we got clearance. Landing lights can come on. The strobe lights can now come on. Full throttle and away we go. And takeoff. Landing gear can come up. Oh man, this is annoying. Right folks, this is take two with our takeoff. We had a bit of an issue with the previous takeoff. Like I say, the EFB, the way it's set up, is just overly complicated / too simple. I don't know what it is. It's either one of those two, but it's, for me it just doesn't work. And when I took off, I was too much nose up and I ended up stalling. So I think it's the center of gravity thing. But here we are, folks. We're going to try that again. Hopefully this time we don't stall the aircraft, and hopefully this time we take off, and hopefully, I mean, there's so much good things with Microsoft 2024, but there's still a long way to go. And like I say, I feel like this should have been the first game. What we have in this should have been the first game, and the like interface and simplicity wise. And what we have in 2024, what we have in 2020, that should be the end product that we have right now. Just a real stable, state-of-the-art flight simulator with a really good interface. Everything just seems to make sense, logic, not complicated. I find Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 has just went from, like, a lot of people wanted what they wanted in Flight Simulator 2020 in 2024, and it's like they gave them everything, but it's just like they made everyone else like have to have everything as well. And a lot of people, like, I feel like there's a lot of people there that just don't know what they're doing when it comes to this. Yeah, I enjoy flying this. I want to enjoy it more. Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, but I just feel like there's just so much annoying things in the game that do wreck the experience. They're things that just, the user interface is just, it's there, like all of these updates they've been doing, it's there, but there's just, like I say, I just feel like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, that should have been what we had 5 years ago, and what we have in 2020 right at the moment. This is what 2024 should be like. Just good user face, everything makes sense. When you got liveries, they're not scattered over different like tiles. You know, everything's all nice and easy to understand, especially for like, I feel like Microsoft 2020 was to bring as many newbies into the game as possible and cater for the hardcore FSX community. And then I feel like 2024 should be continuation of making things simpler in other ways, making things more interesting in the other ways with the missions and whatnot. But yeah, I just don't think they've quite got it there. Like I say, I feel like 2024 should have been 2020 that we have today. That was the step up from FSX, and then this should be 2020 what we have right at the end of its reign before this took over. This is what Microsoft 2024 should be like. Everything should be streamlined, simple, easy to use. But it's just the opposite. It's just really, I find just different systems very clunky, and yeah, going back to the FB, just the simple way of loading and unloading your aircraft, I just find this is just a bit frustrating. But yeah, we're back in the air again. I had a little crash before, but we're getting back into the air, heading off to Whakatane, and yeah, we'll enjoy the beautiful views of this part of the country. Flying over, technically this is pretty much South Auckland in a way. And hopefully we're on course. And as we're flying over Glenbrook Steel Mill, which is a massive steel mill, one of the largest in the country, if not the largest. And I think it's a bit of a polluted area, that. But it's a really impressive site. I've been there once, and a mate of mine took me for a train drive out there and dropped off a whole lot of coal for the steel mill, and it's a real impressive site. And it's definitely especially unique because New Zealand doesn't have like massive manufacturing plants such as that, like those old school plants. As we're flying over, it looks like this will be a bit of fog and a bit of low cloud. What's my altitude? I'll make it 8,000 feet. And I don't think I've got this engaged, so cancel that. We'll make our cruising altitude at 10,000 feet. Perfect, that's what we wanted. Nice to level out at 10,000 feet, that's working fine. And we will set up our, I'll just slow this simulation rate down, but we'll get our Whakatane bearing up so we've got some reference. So 17.7. And our NDB is 362. Sweet, so that's set up for when we get to Whakatane. As we're flying over the Hauraki district, as I've mentioned a few times, this is all dairy farming, really good produce growing around here, very fertile, lots of fertile soils for dairy farming, growing all of our different produce, and lots of little like orchards and hobby farms all around here, and a bit of in this high country, that's where they do the beef and sheep grazing for meat. What we will do quickly is we'll just set our, sort of get an idea on what our altitude is going to be. So it's going to be 2,100 feet. And our go around altitude, our minimums is going to be set to 3. We'll make it like that. as we're now flying over the Kaimai / Mamaku / Coromandel ranges. And what we will do is we will set a very gradual descent. So I can get below this cloud layer and enjoy the bit of the nice coastal views as we're flying over the Bay of Plenty region. Slight low cloud, but that's alright. Now we don't need the weather radar on, the weather's pretty good out there. But yeah, once upon a time these Banaratis were a very common sight around this, especially this part of the world, with New Zealand Link also operating these, and they operated all of the Northland routes, Whangarei, Bay of Plenty, Kaitaia and Bay of Islands, and they also flew them to Tauranga, Rotorua to Whakatane, and I do believe they might have flown these over to Gisborne as well. As we're flying over Tauranga here, which is a beautiful part of the country. This is where most of your kiwi fruit that you get in around the world, this is all grown around this part of New Zealand here. Actually, I'm just going to increase the rate of descent to, oh, not that much. Get below that cloud there so I can enjoy the view a bit more. But yeah, very common to see these aircraft back in the day around this part of the world. And then I think Wellington, there was a few based in Wellington for the that were used for flying over to Blenheim, and where else did they use them? I can't really remember. I think that predominantly they were used in they're based out of Auckland, and they flew to these ports here, and yeah, they also were based out of Wellington, and they flew down to Blenheim and Nelson. But yeah, flying over a place called Makatu, which is where my grandparents used to have a holiday home, and this is a really cool place to grow up as a kid. Really cool beach to swim at. Not the safest, but it's still a nice beach. That's Nudix Beach, that's Pukehanga estuary there. All of this is dairy farming / kiwi fruit. Really nice beach along here too. Yeah, it's definitely a really cool place, the Bay of Plenty region. And I want to say they flew these to Gisborne as well, but I've got a funny feeling Gisborne was, because it's high country over there and it's quite turbulently these aircraft, I don't think they were pressurised in the New Zealand's fleet. I think there were pressurised versions, but I don't think New Zealand had any need for the pressurised version, and I think, pretty sure Gisborne Airport was the metro liners that could fly higher, that were pressurised, and they could get above the mountains in the distance. Let's see what the weather radar is saying. Oh, there is a little bit of drizzle around here. Right, we've leveled off at our final approach altitude. Right, I'm just having a look at our little our flight plan here. So when we get to within 1.4 nautical miles of this waypoint here, we want to do our 3-degree pitch, which be 500 or 600 feet per minute. Yeah, a little bit of rain here in Whakatane, which is considered one of the sunshine capitals of New Zealand. Flying over Whale Island here, which is named after its distinct whale hump shape when you see it from the coastline. I think we should start configuring for our arrival. Lower the landing gear. I do like the landing gear of this. It looks really neat and tidy with everything all tucked away. All of those little landing gear doors. And we'll start our base turn very soon. Just make sure the landing lights on, all of the relative lights are all on. As we will now start our base leg. Turn any minute now. As we're coming into the very eastern part of the Bay of Plenty region before it becomes Gisborne over the ranges there. Puriki is right in, I call it the border town of the lonely outpost of the Bay of Plenty region. That's the last sort of major settlement before you get into there are lots of communities around there, but it's very remote. Beautiful part of the country, the East Cape. And this is flying over Ohiwa Harbour there, famous for its oysters, beautiful oysters there, a campground that I used to go camping in. This is Ohope Beach, which is a beautiful, straddles this beautiful coastline. As we fly in over Whakatane, if you ever do a little road trip, just around here is Ohiwa Harbour, which the oyster farm, which do really good oysters, really good fish and chips, just there. But a cruise ship definitely isn't in there. That's all tidal estuary mudflats. Right, we are coming up to that 1.5 nautical miles, so we can now turn off our autopilot and we can start our little pitch down, which is about there. Maybe a bit more. Flying in over Whakatane. Nice evening to be flying into. Slight bit of drizzle around the area. We'll turn off our weather radar. Yeah, this is one of my, still a bit of feedback there, but it's definitely one of my better landings actually. As I say that, sort of lost it slightly, but perfect. A lot better than the last landings I've been doing. I'm pretty happy with that. Right, and that's us landed at Whakatane Airport. Let's hope the YouTube don't pick up that language, because it's traditional Maori language, even though it's got a very similar sounding Right, will now taxi on back to stand, and that will conclude our little Tranzair Ansett New Zealand Bannerati operations out of Auckland Airport. We'll just tidy up the aircraft. We'll turn off the heat. Don't need the windshield things anymore. The landing lights can come off. And we forgot to turn on the auto feather, but that's alright. Didn't need to use it, so we didn't need it. And this is a really nicely modelled airport by someone that's on FSTO that does some really amazing airports around the country. No, I really do enjoy flying this aircraft. Like I say, I enjoy. There are some aircraft, especially those when you need to manually add in the weights, that I just absolutely prefer doing on Flight Sim on Microsoft 2020. Don't get me wrong, I do like 2024, but just the user interface is just, it's non-existent, I reckon. It's just absolutely, oh, that's a bit strong words, absolutely. It's definitely not that good. Definitely not that good. Right, our strobe lights can come off. And we'll go ahead and park on up here in front of the current operator out of Whakatane, which is Air Chatham's. And they do have a really cool, quirky airport as well. And we'll go ahead and park her up just in front of the Saab 340, and yeah, basically we got a little insight on the new and the old here. I'll just quickly turn off these engines. Oh, for some reason that's not letting me. Oh, anyway, we'll just power it off anyway. I'm getting a bit sidetracked. Alright, we're going to close it all up so it's ready for the morning flight. Interesting, that's not coming on for some weird reason. Must be a little bug there. Anyway, we will hop on out. Here we are, folks, at Whakatane Airport, where there will be a particular quirky little terminal right there as you enter. And as I said, it's a bit of an old and new here. We've got our new old new Saab 340 that does these flights now, that operates on behalf of Air Chatham's out from Whakatane. And once upon a time back in the 90s, the Bannerati from both Ansett New Zealand and Air New Zealand Eagle Air were king at the airport, and I believe they were supplemented by the Metro liners as well, and then Air New Zealand retired these and the Metros, and for a while there it was the Beech 1900Ds that were a common sight here, and then Eagle Air basically got wound up along with the their 19-seat operations, and Air Chatham's initially took over with the Metro liners, And then they just recently upgraded, they retired those and upgraded with the subs and operate to this day. And yeah, really cool little airliner flying out of here, offering some really good deals, I do believe. And now with the interline agreement for Air New Zealand, which will mean passengers will be able to book throughout Air New Zealand's network, starting with Air Chatham's here in Whakatane, which is sorely missed, it's sorely needed. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed our little flight and little series, and we'll see you again in the next video, whatever that may be. Until then, we'll see you again next time.